Hello, Jenny here. Today we're going to talk about biochar. Biochar is a kind of charcoal, and you use it in the garden. It's related to the thing called terra preta, which has been found in the Amazon and is an incredible boost to fertility. But it's a fantastic small thing that we can have in our daily life in the garden. So there are many different types of biochar. The one that I have with me here today is actually pellets of charcoal that are made from fibre, from plant fibre, so it's harvest residues. The most normal form of biochar is made from charcoal. It's wood based, and it's like the little bits of wood that you get left, the little black bits of charcoal that you get left in the barbecue or in your fireplace after you're finished. So the different kinds. You can get charcoal from your fireplace. It's the black bits. Wash off the ashes, we don't want ashes, and crush them. You can buy biochar in maybe a garden shop or a supplier of some sort, and that will usually look like charcoal, normal charcoal. It might be big bits or it might be small bits. If they're quite big bits, crush them. And it's important to know whether they have been charged with nitrogen or not charged with nitrogen. And then there's this other kind, which is pellets, which are made from the charcoal that's made from harvest residues and so on, and made into pellets, which is also really good. And in this case, it's not charged. What is this charging thing I'm talking about? When you put charcoal into the ground, biochar into the ground, it really improves the fertility, because microbes love to be in biochar, and they are stored there for a long time, and biochar provides a lot of other functions in the soil, which is another subject for another day. Let's just say that it really increases fertility over a long period of time. But biochar will always draw to itself a lot of nitrogen, and it will draw to it nitrogen from the soil around it if it doesn't already have its own. And the problem with that is that you normally have plants growing in this at the same time, because you mix the biochar in the soil before you plant. And if it is filling itself with nitrogen, then it's taking it from the plants, and that's not smart. So you can give it its own nitrogen so that the plants can keep the nitrogen that's in the soil for their own purposes. And how do we do that? How do we charge up biochar with nitrogen before we mix it into the soil? That's quite easy actually if you have a bokashi bucket. So you can do this in two ways. And one is that you take a whole lot of this biochar that's crushed, or pellets, or whatever. Here I'll just put it into this small dish. And you can fill it with bokashi liquid and let the liquid soak into the biochar. And that will charge it with enough nitrogen so that it will do a super good job in the soil. The other thing you can do is put the biochar pellets, these black pellets, straight into the bokashi bin when you start filling it. So you could put them in that, under the grid in the bin. There is a little well where the bokashi liquid is stored, and you could just instead fill it with these. And that means as the liquid comes down, it won't drain out through the tap, it will soak into this. The other option is if you have a bucket with no tap, and you have to absorb the liquid in some way if you want to have a pleasant experience. So what you do is you fill the bottom of the bucket with some form of biochar, some form of charcoal. No ashes, and preferably small pieces, smaller the better, and fill the bottom of the bucket with those. And you don't have to do anything fancy after that. When you empty the bokashi into your soil factory or into your garden bed or your pot plant or whatever, the biochar will follow with it and just carry on doing a good work. It will store nutrients over a really, really long time, and it will create a home for microbes. Microorganisms really like to be in this biochar environment. So you create it's a real boost to the fertility of the soil, and it also helps to improve the structure of the soil and make it easier for the roots to do their work in the soil. Another option that you can try is if you fill something, a bucket or a container, with your biochar, and then you want to charge it. So you take your bokashi liquid, mine happens to be in an old sock at the moment for no good reason, it just is, and you just tip that in there, right, like that. and that will soak up into here. I would say leave it for a week or so. Add as much as you think the biochar can take. It smells a little bit better already, and then you can put a lid over it if you want to. If you don't, it doesn't matter. You can do this indoors, outdoors, whatever you like. It's a good thing to do during the winter when you have a lot of bokashi liquid that you're not using, and you can just store it up in your biochar. It's a really fun thing to start with. So, way to go.